So, good afternoon everybody. I'm very honored that I may speak here for you, for so many contractors of our industry. And I want to thank Steve from KHL and Chris from the NDA for this opportunity and for inviting me here in Boston. My name is Johan D'Hooghe, and as presented by Bill, I'm from Belgium. I graduated as an engineer in 1994. I'm founder of a consultancy agency. I'm not a contractor, but although I'm not a contractor, I have some experience in demolition for more than 20 years. And I founded, after my consultancy agency, also a company for the recycling of a particular problematic fraction of demolition waste. It was cellular concrete. And I'm also a co-founder and board member now for the Belgian Demolition Federation, and a board member also, present board member of the European Demolition Association. That's me. They asked me to speak about waste, demolition waste and construction waste in the European Union. I've already learned a lot about the way you are doing things in the United States, and I think there are many similarities. This cake doesn't seems too strange to you, I think. So construction and demolition waste is a very important fraction of our global total waste, and it's almost a third of what we produce as citizens of waste. So it is of big importance to government and to ourselves also. This is the only number that I'm going to tell to you, because all the other numbers are in our European Demolition Industry Report of 2019, which is available at the stand of which you can ask at the stand of the EDA next to the door. Waste management evolution. This is a t-shirt which I bought myself when I was 18 years old, and it says no time to waste. And it was the first time that I heard the word waste as a problematic thing. Before that, I never heard of waste as something that causes a problem, but the people from Greenpeace told me that it was a problem. At that time, demolition waste was not even waste yet. It was material that was produced and people took care of it. And they used it for all kinds of things, but it was not seen as waste. But since 1989, things changed dramatically. And 30 years later, the action of me wearing the t-shirt and this beautiful lady caused a real tsunami of new legislation, political actions on all levels in the world. And the actions nowadays taken by the European Commission regarding waste and circular economy, they're uncountable. Every day is something new. So it's very hard to see what line you have to follow, and everybody's talking about circular economy. So whenever you put something on a t-shirt, be aware of what you put on it. It can have dramatic results. When we talk about demolition, it's not only demolition. It's decontamination, demolition and recycling. You don't do one thing alone. It's a global action. And what's important, not only in the United States, but all over the world, and so the same counts for the EU, is that whenever you do some action, it must be done safe and secure all the time. And it's important, environmental protection and decontamination. It's been said already many times this morning. dismantling and decommissioning, it's not only tearing a building down, no, you have to make it clean before you knock it down. We've seen it also in all the other projects. Demolition itself there are many techniques, many new innovations, and this is changing all the time, also in Europe. Important is, and more it becomes important, the valorization of the waste coming from demolition activities and the on-site or off-site recycling. If it's off-site, you have to demolish it and dismantle it as good as you can to create fractions that can be recycled very easy. So if you mix everything together, you end up with a bunch of material which is unrecyclable afterwards, which you must avoid. And last but not least, remediation of contaminated soil is something that has to be done very often also. We don't have those big buildings as I have seen here in the United States, but we do have many buildings, and there are many zones, areas in Europe which are very densely built, and it goes from houses, industrial buildings, old, new. So we have everything just as people have in the United States also. Some years ago, the European Commission started with a very ambitious project. They wanted to have a protocol regarding waste management, demolition and construction demolition waste management, and they wanted that protocol made in less than 2 years. So it's not new legislation, but it's more a protocol. It should be a guidance for member states that want to implement or want to create legislation to meet the EU directives. So the European Commission makes directives for the different member states, and they want the different member states to comply with those directives. And to be able to have a guidance for those member states, the Commission created a protocol. So it's not legislation, but it's an overview of best practices, and it deals with the pre-demolition surveys to start with, then decontamination, deconstruction or dismantling, demolition, and recycling. So the whole process is tackled in this manual or this protocol. And what is important is it combines the best practices all over Europe, but not all member states are yet implying this. So it's everywhere the same. You have good students and less good students, and there's a big difference in Europe between the different member states. The target of 2020 of 70% recycling of demolition waste is easy for some member states and already done for many years. And we're, for example, in Flanders, we're up to 95 or more than 90%. Same counts for Denmark, the Netherlands, UK. But there are other member states which are still much below this 70%. So we hope to get them above this 70% with this management protocol. This protocol is the state of art, is at last year, so 2018. And it's the ideal world is that we don't mix up any waste anymore, so the picture at your left, but that we create fractions which can be easily recycled and which give you beautiful recycled products which can be reused afterwards. This recycling rate and the selective demolition occurred in Europe only at a high rate in areas where the market was supporting this. Because recycling, it needs an extra effort to do it. And what we have seen was that in the areas where there are taxes on landfill and where the reuse of recycled content is promoted by, for example, BREEAM, green procurement, or life cycle analysis, in those areas there is a high level of recycling. In others where there is landfill is very cheap, there's a very low rate of recycling. So that is the current status, and so that's also the conclusion of this management protocol: make landfill more expensive and promote the reuse of recycled content. And there are many initiatives taken by organizations in Europe, and they are subsidized by the European Commission. And for example, HYSER, gypsum to gypsum, many projects that try to be cradle to cradle. They are financed, and they are looking for new solutions, new recycling paths for difficult fractions, such as the name says itself, gypsum. Wood to loop is recently granted, in May was it granted, and it's a project in which we are investigating how to recycle mineral wool and in what, how we can do it on a large scale. But it's not only the protocol, it's not only the legislation, but climate change is also affecting us, and our industry is changing every year more and more rapidly. And we came from very simple activities to very complex processes today. You have seen the many presentations this morning, which are far from simple. They are very complex, and this complexity will increase every year. Hazardous waste, but also unknown hazardous waste, will be encountered every day more and more. We will encounter always new hazardous waste, and especially in Europe, we should be aware that when something is hazardous, it will be hazardous in every country. And today it's not the case. So we have to tackle that also. If lead is causing a problem in Belgium, in France, it is a problem too in Belgium, which is not the case at this moment. So we have to, and therefore that's a big job for EDA to unify this all over Europe. And there's also an increasing awareness and regulation, and it used to be health, safety and environment, but it's now also security and social economics. The social aspect of our activities is very important and becoming more and more important, and the many stakeholders are important too, as we have seen also this morning. So the meetings with all the stakeholders and to keep everybody informed and to keep everybody happy is a very important thing of our business. This awareness, the climate change, the new available technologies, new products, new hazardous substances, the new way things are going to be built, the new techniques to survey buildings, but not only buildings, but complete areas, artificial intelligence, all those things are causing a change, but very fast change. And even now, things are happening which we don't know and which are going on. So our industry will change enormously, and that's a big challenge. And I think one of the challenges, but also a big opportunity for our industry, is the concept of urban mining. It's not only just recycle what you have from your job site, but to think broader and to think about urban mining and to think about a city as a mine. And big companies used to invest a lot of money to find natural resources in our underground, and it was they spent a lot of money for gold, oil, sand, clay, rock, whatever, iron, whatever you name, they have been looking for it, and they have invested a lot of money to find it. All those materials are available in our cities, and the University of Vienna, the technical department, they investigated the amount of material that was captured in the city, below the ground and beneath the ground, per capita. So per inhabitant of the city, and they came out on a total of 210 tons of material in a city. So there are many people living in Vienna, so it's an enormous amount of material available in this city. And if you have an enormous amount of material that will be that people can get in the city, that can be reused, enormous amounts of material causes enormous amounts of money, profit, and we are not the only ones who know who are aware of that. So big groups are also aware of this, and where they formerly were investing in new mines and new quarries, they are now looking for the more capacity in recycling, demolition, and they will see this urban mining as a new opportunity. So it is important for our business, for our industry, for the contractors, to be aware of the fact that we are crucial in this urban mining concept, because we are the first in the process to get the materials out of the city, out of the buildings, out of the roads, out of everything. So we play an important role, and people should be aware of that. And therefore we come to the next 3 slides, and it's just an exercise which can be done at home or afterwards. But in this slide, there are some overview challenges and opportunity listed, and I will speak just about the first one, fighting with a name. So demolition is seen as something bad by many people. So if we are on the European Commission on a meeting with 40 people around the table, they all find demolition a very bad word, because they think about someone with a sledgehammer, bang, bang, and destroying things. But they don't know what it is. So we have to explain to everybody that demolition is not only a sledgehammer, but that we do very complex things, that we solve problems for buildings at the end of their life, very complex problems with a lot of pollution in it, that we also do urban mining, that the urban mining is one of the solutions for climate change, and that we are one of the, I think we are the only industry that can recycle space. So demolition is not a bad thing, demolition is a good thing. Same goes for decontamination. It used to be only asbestos, but it's more than asbestos. And we have a federation as a sister of EDA. It's the Decontamination Institute, in which we want to combine the knowledge about all hazardous waste, PCBs, tar, and so on. Recycling is also a key aspect of our business, because if you demolish a lot and you don't recycle, then you don't close the circle. So if you want to close the loop, recycling is indispensable, and you need to do it as good as possible for as many fractions as possible. So not only concrete and steel, but you have to look for solutions for all different fractions. So that's what I wanted to say about our waste management in Europe. I have one more thing to say. EDA made a beautiful yearbook for 2019. You can get it at the stand of EDA around next to the door, or you can scan the code with your iPhone and to get it digital. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Johan. Any questions for him? Go get your microphone.
Hi, Vincent Guimont-Hébert from the Jacques Cartier and Champlain Bridges in Montreal, Canada. So we're about to deconstruct a major infrastructure in Montreal. Your presentation was great. I think it's really, it's the kind of word that need to resonate more in the construction and demolition industry, especially in 2019 with the global environmental consideration that we all know. So it's really refreshing. Thank you. So you've talked about recycling and circular economy era, but when we know that recycling materials, for example, steel, is being melted in, in hub countries like India and Bangladesh in majority, because their environmental and air quality laws and regulation are lower than elsewhere in the world. How in Europe do you contractually incentivize local reuse over recycling processes? Because recycling processes might sound green, but when you ship, with transportation, you're still from the United States or Canada all the way to Bangladesh, and then it ends up into a melting facility that has a lot of emissions and air quality pollution problems. So how do you incentivize local reuse over recycling?
Thank you for the question. You're completely right. Shipping materials abroad to burn them or to put them there in deposit is not recycling. So if you want to recycle something, you should do it as locally as possible, and with as less as transport as possible. So I think for almost everything, there are major possibilities, and wood, plastics, concrete, steel, as far as I know, they all can be recycled within Europe. But there are 1 month ago, there was 2 containers refused in Thailand, I think, and they came from Antwerp, so that's not a good thing. It cannot. Our government will penalize those companies doing this. So if you want to ship waste out of Belgium, out of Flanders, and you cannot guarantee that there's a good recycling, you will be penalized. So.
Thank you, Johan.
Thank you.
We'll get moving here. Our next